It's Labmas, it's day 4, and what's more festive than to chat about GPSR regulations that are coming into force on December the 13th. I mean, happy Christmas, right? If you're new to the channel, having found me via a search for GPSR, hi, I'm Jenna, welcome to my channel. I formulate skincare and cosmetics, help small businesses and guide skincare makers through the cosmetic regulations. I'll start off by saying that if you don't sell to Northern Ireland or the EU and you don't intend to, then you don't need to worry. Equally, if you already sell cosmetics to Northern Ireland and the EU, then you should already be following the regulations. So again, this won't really apply unless you sell another type of product. So let's get on with what GPSR is and what you need to do as a small business. I'm not going to lie, if this had come into force when I ran my previous business, then it would have crippled it. Not just from a financial point of view, but from an admin one. As cosmetic makers, we know from the current cosmetic regulations, admin ends up being half, if not 2/3 of what you do. The good news here is that as cosmetic makers, nothing really changes for you. You're already doing what's required under your CPSRs, your PIF, GMP, batch numbers, labelling, and all the admin that you already do. Most of you won't sell to the EU because of the expense of needing a responsible person, and some of you will. The bad news is, now the regulations extend to all products, and that's called GPSR. GPSR stands for General Product Safety Regulation. As usual, a regulation is introduced, it's not fully formed, it's open to a lot of interpretation, and no one is to be found who can give a straight answer as to what you actually need to do and what's covered. By my understanding, and I'll leave all the reference links below in the description, and to quote the Europa website, it applies to new, used, repaired or reconditioned products available for distribution, consumption or use in the EU, placed or made available on the market whether for free or against payment, which are not covered by other specific EU product safety legislation, subject to existing specific EU safety requirements regarding the risks and aspects that are not already covered therein, and it applies to products offered to consumers in the EU via all sales channels. Products excluded are medicinal products for human or veterinary use, food and feed, living plants and animals, genetically modified organisms and microorganisms in contained use, animal-derived and byproducts, plant protection products, transport equipment operated by a service provider, aircraft whose design, production, maintenance and operation pose a low safety risk, antiques, products clearly marked to be repaired or reconditioned prior to use. At this moment, I'm not sure about digital goods. I found a reference to it on Folksy, but can't see where in the documents they got their information. If it's a case of digital, meaning that marketing platforms like Etsy, eBay, Amazon, etc. need to ensure that their sellers comply and put things in place and gather the necessary information, or if things like ebooks, PDFs are included, it's a grey area because Etsy say they aren't and Folksy say they are. I contacted some solicitors and asked, and they all replied with yes, digital products are included as far as they interpret the regulations. So for now, I have to assume that they are. This means that within the next day or two, I'll not be able to sell my templates, calculators and ebooks to EU-based customers. I'm really sorry for this, but the reason will become apparent in a minute. If you are in the EU or Northern Ireland, then you may want to grab those now. So what do you need to do? For cosmetics, continue as normal. We already do an excessive amount of admin, so we get to continue with that. Yay! If you sell other products, then you need to comply with the following. Note, this is only if you live outside of the UK and sell to an EU country, including Northern Ireland, who for the purpose of trade are classed as EU. Yes, this means if you are based in the USA or Australia, for example, you need to do this too if you want to sell to the EU. If you live in the UK and you don't sell to EU countries, then you don't need to worry. As of December 2024, it's only an EU regulation. However, we will keep an eye on it as hopefully the UK won't do similar. So you'll need to ensure that your products are safe for use as intended, essentially to do a risk assessment, display relevant safety information, correctly labelling, including detailed instructions for use, and add compliance marks such as the CE marking for toys. This needs doing on product labels and on the product listing on your website, because customers need to be able to see this information prior to purchase. There are third-party websites such as Etsy, eBay, Folksy and Amazon who will likely have sections to fill out on your listing for your items. If you have Shopify, I've noticed that if you search GPSR apps, then there are apps that will help do this for your store, and they'll add a section at the bottom of each product listing for the required information. You'll need an EU-based responsible person. This is the big one and costs money, which is why many businesses now won't ship to the EU. Right now, I cannot recommend any for products other than cosmetics, as this is all very new, so be careful and vet the ones you see pop up, as I'm sure many scammers will see this as a money-making opportunity. The responsible person needs all of the product safety information, and their contact details must be on the label. Retain technical data sheets and any other documentation for the products for 10 years after they've been placed on the EU market. You and your responsible person will need to liaise with the market authorities if any issues arise. The responsible person is the main issue. As if cosmetics are anything to go by, this is an expense that most small businesses can't justify. It's rightly an expense as it's a big responsibility, so please don't put that on a friend or family member without them understanding what's involved. Not to mention that this amount of admin is ludicrous for certain products. As usual, with any regulations, nothing is 100% clear, and there's a lot of ambiguity of certain product niches. Do you need all this admin for a piece of artwork, for example? At least if you already sell cosmetics, you'll be familiar with all this, and maybe if you have an RP in an EU country already, they would extend their services to other products. But if you don't want the hassle, then sadly our market just got smaller. Again, for all the information that I've read on this topic, please see the below links and search for further information from the selling platforms you're on, as this info will be evolving no doubt, so there might be significant updates, but I'll let you know. Let me know your thoughts below. I feel like the world has gone completely mad at the moment, and I'll see you tomorrow for Labmas Day 5. And like I said, if you're in the EU and Northern Ireland and you need any of my templates, etc., get them now. A copy of this will be available as a blog on my website link below also. See you tomorrow.